Today I'm going to be continuing this project on this 2009 Pontiac Vibe, and it has the 2.4 liter engine. And today I'm going to be replacing the passenger side lower control arm, the one in the front. Now previously I already replaced the driver's side, and that job it quickly turned into a nightmare. So I'll leave the video links on the screen if you guys are interested in watching that. And so today I'm just going to be replacing this one here and completing the project. Welcome back to the Moose Mobile Auto Repair channel, and let's get started on the job now. We're gonna remove the two bolts here. They are 10 millimeters. And we have the plastic retainer clip that needs to be taken out to get the splash shield out of the way. You can just hide this underneath. You don't need to remove it completely. You just need just enough room to get access to the lower through bolt here for the control arm. Now usually these bolts they seize up, so I want to try this bolt first to see if it's seized up or not. And I'm not sure if we are going to have to raise the engine a tiny bit so that this bolt can come out, but it seems like there's quite a bit of room from between here for the bolt to come out. So I'm going to attempt to loosen this and see on how it goes. It's pretty on there tight, so we may have to heat it up so we don't break it like the other one last time. So I have myself the mini-ductor Venom HP. So I'm using it for the first time. I just got this, so I'm going to see if this works. I'm going to try to heat up the bolt on where it's seized up. Initially, you're supposed to heat it up from underneath the subframe where you're able to get access to the captive nut, because that's where it's usually seized onto. But I'll try this and see if it works. I'm going to put this over here, see if it works. So we'll try to heat it up. Let's see if it gets to red hot or not, and see if we can try to loosen it up. I don't want to get it too hot so that it's going to melt off the rubber. It's loosening a tiny bit now, as you can see. So we'll try to heat it up a tiny bit more. I heard that this tool, it works wonders. It's my first time using it, so it's gonna be an interesting experiment dealing with this rather than using an open flame. Just trying again. May need to get it hotter. I can see the bushing is starting to melt off a little bit. It's red hot. It just turned red hot just for the moment. I can feel it's pretty stuck in there. There's a resistance as I'm turning it. It wants to turn back as you turn it. I can smell the rubber. It's pretty bad. Trying to turn it and work it back and forth. So I'm not able to get access to the other side, so it's gonna be hard. It's usually seized at that end and there's no direct access to it, so I'm gonna keep on trying with this. It's moving a little bit but not much, so I'll need to repeatedly to keep on heating it up. It just started to move a tiny bit. I'm going to heat it up again. You need to work the bolt back and forth. You need to keep on working the bolt back and forth as soon as you're able, as soon as you have moved it to work it through. There's some resistance there from the rubber bushing, so you want to make sure that you are doing this by hand only, not using an impact. It's just going to snap the bolt right off. You just need to take your time and reheat it up repeatedly so you don't break anything, like how I did last time on the driver's side. You don't want to heat it up to the point where you completely melt the rubber. So we're going to heat this up again. It's a process, so there are times where just heating it up once, it may not be enough, so you have to keep on doing it repeatedly. see that the sleeve is coming out along with the bolt. As you can see there, this part here is coming out at the same time with the bolt. So right now I'm just using an air hammer to see if I'm able to drive this bolt and sleeve out from the control arm. So now we are just going to place a block of wood and a jack underneath the oil pan just to bring the engine up a tiny bit. We may or may not need to remove the engine mount. I just need a little bit of clearance. I don't need to jack the engine up too much. Here it is. So as I'm having a closer look here, there's some slight damage on the subframe here, but I think it should be okay as long as the washer can hold around here. I'm not sure how that happens. I wasn't expecting that. So we are going to remove the two nuts and the one bolt holding the control arm ball joint in place. Now we have a 19 millimeter wrench on top to hold the nut on the hockey puck style bushing. So we are going to take that off now. So now you just want to push down on the control arm to get it off of the ball joint, and then just remove the control arm from there. So here's the old control arm here. You see some cracks here. It doesn't look as bad as when it was on the vehicle. Usually when you take it out, because the suspension part becomes unloaded, so it's not loaded on the vehicle, so sometimes you can't see, but I can see some tears here. You may not be able to see that on camera. Anyhow, here's the casualty here. Just the bushing just pretty much just it came out of here. I knew that this vehicle was not going to be easy. This is seems to be a big problem on these vehicles. So if you live in the Rust Belt, you're almost guaranteed to have these issues unless the vehicle was taken care of from brand new. And once again, this is the bolt. I have a new bolt already. The bushing came out of here along with it. So here's the new bolt here. This one has the thread locker that's already on it from the factory. This is the part number over here, 90080111506. I'll try to put it in the description for you guys. I got it from the Toyota dealership. It's the same on the other side as well, and I believe it's the same exact bolt for the one that goes inside the hockey puck style bushing. They're the same exact bolt. So before I put the new control arm in, I'm just going to rust proof the area here a little bit with the fluid film stuff. And I'm also going to check the threads of the captive nut to make sure that it's is not loose or anything. So I'm just going to test it out by trying to put in the new bolt and see that it threads in. I'm just going to see if this hole here is going to be a big issue or not. I think the washer will just go against it, so I'm just going to leave it alone. Just making sure that the bolt goes in and threads in here and holds. So what I like to do is I like to put some of the chassis grease or wheel bearing grease inside the bushings here in the sleeve, so that later in the future it won't seize up. And I do this every time for steering and suspension parts. So I greased them up so that I don't run into this problem again. So what I like to do is I like to start on this side here. So I try to jam it in. I know it's not the correct word to use, but that's how I do it. So I just I jam this kind of inside in here. So now I think I got the bushing in. I'm going to try to get the bolt through from underneath. So as you can see, it's lined up from on top, but it's not lined up at the bottom. So I'm going to attempt to line up uh, the hole that's at the bottom. You may need to use like a screwdriver or a drift chisel or something to line up the sleeve into the bushing, so you're able to get the bolt through. You can use something small like this, like a drift chisel, to line up the bushing, so you're able to get the bolt through. So now you just need to line up the bushing from on top of the sleeve. So now I'm just going to line up the bolt through here. And sometimes just doing it a light tap with the hammer, you may be able to line it up then. Sometimes you may need to use a channel lock to line up the bolt holes if you're having a hard time trying to get it in. So right now I temporarily arrested the cylindrical uh, bushing here. I rested it on the subframe temporarily so that I'm able to get it through here, through the hole. For some reason, I'm having a hard time trying to get it through. I'm not sure why. It was a lot easier when I did the driver's side for some reason. So this one is almost through the hole now over here. So I'm just inserting the drift chisel and pulling and prying on it so I can line up the hole here. I don't know why it's a pain in the butt this time around. It seems like it's almost in there now. There we go. Now it's gonna go in now. There we go. Such a pain in the butt for some reason. Just gonna use a hammer to drive it through. So that bolt is in now. We don't want to tighten anything up yet. Just everything. We just need to start the nuts and bolts first. After we get everything in, and then we'll start to tighten everything up. So what I like to do is I like to grease up the bolts. I like to use grease. It's a lot better than the standard silver or copper anti-seize. So we are going to install this in and try to line up the bolt here. Just trying to line everything up here, adjusting the bushing for the bolt to go through. There you go. We are going to tighten this up now. It's getting tight now. We're going to torque the all of these suspension bolts to 101 foot-pounds. I'll put the torque spec on the screen for you guys to see. So we are just going to tighten up the bolt here. It's a 19 mil. So now we are going to push down on the lower control arm here and to install the ball joint back in. If you're having trouble trying to get it in, you may need to push the steering knuckle towards the axle, so inwards, because sometimes the inboard axle it plunges out, so you need to bring it back in if you're not able to line up the holes on the control arm. So reinstall the 2 nuts and the 1 bolt. I'm just going to snug up the bolts. Then we are going to torque them afterwards. So we are going to torque this to 101. So we are also going to torque this to 101 as well. We are going to torque the lower ball joint, the 2 nuts and the bolt to 66 foot-pounds. So I'm having a closer look here. I don't see any issues here. The washer is just holding against the subframe. I think it should be okay. So I don't think I should have any issues there. In my previous video in which I did the driver's side, I had to open up a hole in the subframe. So luckily I didn't have to do this on this side. The captive nut is still in place, and I was being extremely careful to not break anything this time around. So I didn't have to remove the engine mount at all. I just needed to jack up the engine very slightly, so I didn't need to remove it. The rubber piece here is on the stop over here. I'm going to lower it now. So I'm going to lower the jack now, and you're gonna see on how I jacked it up. It's just on the stop. I didn't jack it up uh, any more than that, because otherwise it's going to damage things. But if you have to go beyond that, then that would mean you would need to remove the engine mount completely. So the passenger side control arm is all finished. I will admit the truth that it was a little bit of a pain in the butt, but it was not as much of a pain in the butt compared to the driver's side. But on the passenger side, I had to be extremely careful to not break that bolt in which it goes through the cylindrical bushing. You have to be really careful, because if for any reason that bolt breaks, is gonna be a ton of work and a pain in the bum to get that bolt out. Is gonna be the same situation in which I had to do on the driver's side. So I'm all finished for the time being. I just need to put everything back, the plastic covers and the wheel and everything. I'm just going to verify that everything is tight, and probably spray a little bit of the fluid film, the rust proofing stuff, and then I'm gonna go for a road test. I'll bring you guys along, and hopefully everything is okay. If I need to do any more suspension work on this vehicle, I will do so, and then hopefully I will get the alignment done afterwards. If the vehicle drives straight, I won't be too concerned about the alignment, although the alignment can still be off even though that the vehicle tracks true and straight. But it's something that I will have to do later on. That's it for today. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please don't forget to give it a like, and please consider subscribing to my channel if you're not already a subscriber, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good day and take care. So I drove the vehicle for some time and everything is perfect, except that the steering wheel is slightly off center. It's it's a bit off to the left, very slightly. So I'm probably going to have the wheel alignment done. I'm not sure if I'm going to have a shop do it or if I'm just going to do it on my own. Usually I do it the manual way. So I use like a set of measuring tapes and some toe plates to measure the front toe and do the adjustments then. Because I only disturb the front, I'm probably just going to do the front and not the back. The back are adjustable as well, but I'll see on what I'm going to do. Usually you're supposed to adjust all four wheels if you are able to, and if the alignment is out. One last thing I forgot to mention is that according to service information, it states that the vehicle and the suspension should be settled down on the ground, and it should be on like drive-on ramps or on the alignment rack or drive-on rack, and then you would need to torque the bolts then. But because I've never seen anybody do that in the past, since I've worked at shops, usually most guys would just tighten up the bolts and then that's it. So, but usually the correct way of doing it is to torque all of the bolts when the vehicle has settled down onto the suspension, and then you torque the bolts then, because
I've read about that. It could distort the bushings and stuff like that. Out of all of my 15 years of working on cars, I've never seen anybody do it that way. So it's not very practical, and that's probably why that nobody does it that way, because every time the shops are always in a hurry to get the work done and stuff, and then they tighten it up. It doesn't make any sense to me, but that's the proper way to do it. I mean, I understand the concept of doing it and stuff, but it's something that I wouldn't do either. I just tighten up the bolts, and then that's it. You should be fine. I've never really had any problems doing it the regular way. So anyhow, I'm going to conclude this video. All of the control arms are all done. Everything is all good to go. I'll keep you guys updated, and I'll see you guys next time.